Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of The Coin. I'm Caroline,
And I'm Kingsley.
and tonight we are going to talk about ourselves some more. We have some friends, a couple of friends, and probably more that have reached out and said, "Oh, we want to know how you guys met." And so we decided to have that conversation today, just talk about our love story. And so we're going to bring that to you.
And our story is a long one, but we'll try to see how we can fit in our long story that took probably 2 years or thereabout into this very, very short time clip.
2 years? I thought it was three.
Probably three. I'm growing old maybe. That's why.
Yeah, that was I just graduated from college. We were both born and raised in Nigeria, as some of you or most of you know. And so I lived in a city called Lagos, and I just graduated from college. And then and in Nigeria, when you graduate from college, because our tuition is paid.
It's
It's
subsidized, not
subsidized.
really paid,
I
yeah.
mean, subsidized
By
by
the
the
government.
government.
Yeah.
So there's this program called National Youth Service Corps that you are assigned to go to some place, anywhere the government assigns you to. Then you go serve there for 1 year. It could be teaching job. It could be something related to your major in university, and it may just not be. But they just assign you to a job where you may be paid minimum pay and so yeah, so I was assigned, and usually they try to kind of put you in a place where you're not very familiar with, out of your home state. So I was taken out of my home state and assigned to the state that he was living in.
At the time.
Yeah, at that time in Imo State. And so when they assigned me to this state, I didn't want to go. My parents didn't want me to go. I'd never been, and this is the eastern part of Nigeria. I was living in the west. So my parents were kind of reluctant in letting me go. I didn't want to go too. So I kind of tried, we tried all that we could to see if we could change that. So we thought, okay, maybe they could help us, but that didn't work out. So I reluctantly went. The last day that I was supposed to check in, because you do kind of like a 1 day, 1 month or a couple weeks in camp.
There's an orientation camp.
Yeah,
Yes.
in camp. So and you kind of had the last day to check in. So I left on that last day thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna wait. My friends are like, you can defer. I'm like, no, I don't want to defer. I just want to go. Let me just go. We'll see what happens. Maybe after camp, I can try changing back to my home state. So after camp, I joined this church. It was a small sized church, and through a friend of mine, I was introduced to the church. So I just decided to stay because I felt like, okay, they needed help. I could also help them in the church, and so I was in the church. It wasn't at that church at that time. So at some point, how did you get involved in that church?
The guy who started the church,
The pastor of the
the
church.
pastor of the church happened to be my former schoolmate and a friend, as it were. So he had started this church in a worry, and sometimes when I come to visit with my parents, maybe come spend a weekend or something, I'll run into him and he say, "Oh, Kingsley, there's this amazing thing going on in this church that I started, but I need folks to come help me. I need someone to help me." So I'll brush it aside. I say, "You know what? I'm not living around. I'm living out of state." Then after a while, I decided to start a business. So I moved back to the city
You
where
quit your job.
I quit my
In the
job,
city where
started my own business in the city where my parents were living, which is Owerri, which happens to be where my wife was at the time, even though I didn't know her.
we had
We've
not
never
met
met.
prior to this time.
So because I was moving back, I decided to go help out in that church. I became an associate pastor in the church, and that's where I met her.
And so yeah, you started coming in. I was part of the church, and we were not close at that time. You were. It was a small church, so we all knew each other.
That's true.
But I think I didn't know anything about you beyond church.
That is true.
Beyond
That
that
is true.
setting. And so I was living in town, and then I think some of my friends from out of town, from the city I grew up from, Lagos, they came in. It was during, I think, the holiday during Christmas, and I didn't go back home I stayed back. And so they came into town and they drove me around town and showed me around. So when I met up with them in church,
After that period when the
After
guys
that period.
had gone, yeah. And
yeah. So I was kind of, you guys were asking me, well, how did your holidays
the
go?
holidays?
How was
Yeah,
Christmas and
yeah,
everything? And so I'm like, yeah, it was fine. Some of my friends came and took me to all the villages around here. And I'm like, yeah, I've been with you guys for over a year.
And
Nobody's
you've not
ever
taken me
invited
anywhere.
me anywhere to take you guys anywhere. And then you kind of jumped on that and said, oh, okay, because of that I owe you dinner or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
the thing is this: I've been watching you
Mhm.
closely, well from a distance, and I was looking for an opening, to take you out. Then when you came up with the story of your friends who came from Lagos and took you around, you said that none of you have actually taken me out or
not
taking me
taking
to
me
no
out,
no no
just
taking me to see
the
the
area.
area and all of
Yeah.
that. And I said, don't worry, how about I take you out for dinner? And she said, sure, no problem. So I got my opening from there, and then that's where it all started. I mean, us now going to the next level. You go ahead
Yeah, so we arranged that. So you're like, oh, you're gonna take me out to dinner. So I thought, okay, no big deal. It's I call him Pastor Kingsley then. No,
oh,
it's
how come you don't call me Pastor Kingsley anymore?
where's your flaw? Yeah.
No, once a
So
pastor, always
always
a
a
pastor.
pastor,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe
Yeah.
after this program, you start calling me Pastor Kingsley
Okay,
again.
Pastor Kingsley.
Yes, my darling. How are
Yeah,
you?
so we went out to the dinner, and then yeah, I mean it was fine. We just chatted, we talked, and no strings attached. At least
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, we just had fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we had fun. So we were both relaxed and just getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And then so and then you dropped me off at my
I dropped
house,
you off
right?
and went
We
home.
parted ways, and so the next day, because I worked in a bank at that time, I was at work, and this guy showed up. This Pastor Kingsley showed up because I forgot my key.
Yeah, you forgot your key in my car. Then I saw it in the morning. I'm like, oh no, she forgot
Forgot
her
my
keys. Who
key.
knows? I better get it to her as quickly as I could. So I drove to her bank and I saw her there. I gave her the key. And when I gave her the key, because I was already feeling, I wanted to express to her how I felt about her. And that of all places, as I gave her the
In
key,
the
I said,
middle of a very hectic
you know what,
day.
I love you, baby. I didn't put baby. I just said I love you. Then I left. I didn't even make
Yeah.
any big thing out of
He
it.
dropped off the key. I'm like, oh, thank you, you brought out my key. And then the next thing is, I love you. And then
Come
they
on, I
turned and they
love
left.
you. Bye
And I'm
bye.
like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. So I'm like, I was shocked. I'm like, wow. I was very busy, so I didn't really have time to really think about it because it was in the middle of work. But then I was thinking about it, of course, and I'm like, yeah, of course, I was honored because this is somebody I respected so much. And then one part of me is like, okay, what's going on here? Because I know a friend of his already that had come to tell me something like that too. You know what I mean? So I felt like, okay, are they playing me? What's going on here? Why are they both coming on to me at the same time? About the same
But
time.
I had no idea
And yeah,
whatever
it was later he told me
whatever was
later
going on
that
with
yes.
she and
So I'm
the
like,
other friend. I didn't
I'm
know.
like, yeah, these folks, yeah, I don't know if I should take them serious. But because I really admired him, I mean, this is somebody I admired and respected a lot. Um, so I did not just completely write it off, did I? How
No,
did
you
we
did
progress
not.
from
Then
there?
what we did after progressing was that we started hanging out. Some evenings I'll
Yeah.
come,
Yeah,
to
but
your
then I told
place.
you, because you're from the eastern part of Nigeria, I'm from the west. We have two different languages. I mean, the common language amongst ourselves is actually English.
Mhm.
And so when I was coming to your state, my parents actually told me they didn't want me to come, and so they had told me, make sure you don't go there to go get married to anybody. Make sure you come back home. Don't go and stay back there. And I kind of concurred. I kind of felt like I'm not going there to get married. I'm just gonna do my 1 year and I'm gonna come back. Um, so I had that at the back of my mind that I'm not here to date anybody or to get engaged or any of that stuff. I'm just gonna do my 1 year and try to get myself back to Lagos. And so I had that at the back of my mind. So when you
That is
told me
correct.
that,
Ye-
I
Yeah, yeah. What then happened was, we started seeing each other. I mean, seeing in the sense that maybe you come to church sometimes. I'll drop
but
you
we
off
talked
there.
about you can't just drop you love me on somebody and then nobody mentions it. We did
Yes,
talk
we
about
talk
that.
about that. We talked about
Yeah.
that. I think.
I told you I wasn't interested.
No, we had started. Okay, I came to your place, and we'll talk. We'll go take a walk and talk and all of that. So then you now told me, I don't think I'm interested in this.
Yeah, in that
Yeah.
process, I told you I wasn't interested. I know he's trying to make it sound nice. But I was
Well,
nice. I was nice, but I was also very clear. I was
yeah,
also
yeah,
very
yeah, you
clear.
were, you
I was also
were.
very clear that I wasn't interested. I was. I told him I wasn't interested. I gave him a bunch of reasons why I wasn't. I didn't want to. I want to go back. I don't want to stay back in a way. Blah blah blah. I mean, I gave you those reasons, and then you told me that every relationship does not have to end in
Yeah, my,
marriage.
yeah,
And
my,
I'm like,
well,
what? Then what is he even talking about if it doesn't have to end in
what I
marriage?
actually meant was that, okay, if you say you don't feel that way, you don't feel us like us, getting married and all of that, I still want you to be my friend.
Yeah, he's like every relationship does not have to end in marriage.
Yeah.
I'm like this guy, yeah. I'm like, yeah. If it's not ending in marriage, then what are we doing? Why should I even be interested in the first place? That's how I took it, but I know you meant something else. But at that time, that's how I took it. Like, okay, this guy is not really serious anyway. So, and it's not like I'm even interested anyway. You kind
Yeah, I think
of
you shut the door, so to say,
you,
bringing in, your parents want you to do that, and you don't want to marry someone from that part of the country and all of that. So
yeah.
you really shut the door, as it were. And then I said, okay, well, I still want us to be friends because every relationship doesn't necessarily have to end
We
in
were friends
marriage.
before that. I was,
We
yeah.
were, but not.
We were just that it couldn't
Was
be
just
anything. Yeah, I mean, you were trying to
we
make
were distant and
you were
admirers.
trying
We
you
were
were
just platonic friends
but
and
before
all of
you said
that.
yeah, I love you, that's what would have become. But anyways, to call it doesn't agree with the way I'm coming at it. To move forward further on this discussion,
Yeah,
I we became friends after
we
that,
did become
with no
friends.
strings
That's
out
true.
because we were
That's
not
true.
friends before. So we just became friends, and so I now got to know him, and he started really getting to know me, not just from a distance. And after a while, I don't think you gave up right away. You didn't just give
I
up,
didn't give up. I
you
tried. I still
know.
tried to let you see the reasons why, but I think you had made up
While
your mind. So there was really not much. There was really
and
no
there was
need
nothing much you
keep
could,
it for me to
yeah.
keep
Which
pressing
was okay.
further.
I know I also encourage you. I said, you know what, I'm not the only sister in the church. Because at that time I felt you and your friend are kind of decided to like, okay, we want to get married and let's look around the church. I mean, it's a small size church. Let's look that's the way I
That was
interpret.
your notion. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
the way
what you
I
thought.
interpreted it.
Okay.
Like, okay, let's look around the church. Do you say ladies are eligible? I know they say men are eligible. Then I felt like they look like, okay, she looks like one of the most eligible sister around here. She's got a good job, and she loves the Lord. And I mean, because I was a sisters leaders then,
Yeah, you were.
and so
You were
I felt
leading the
like, yeah, it
sisters.
kind of looked natural to be a pastor's wife, and so I didn't want anybody to choose me based on that. I just didn't. So I thought about it. I said no. So I encouraged her. I said you can look around. There are some other
Yeah, I know
sisters
you
here that
did
could.
say that. You said that at that time, So
Yeah.
after a while, I think I just
You
moved
moved
on.
on,
Yeah, I
yeah.
moved on. Then I now got into a relationship with someone else in the church, another sister in the church, and yeah, we're friends and going out and maybe taking her out for lunch or dinner or
We don't
something
have to
like
go into
that.
the other relationship. You were in a relationship with somebody
With
else.
somebody else.
Okay, now
So
let's move
so
on.
so then it got to a point. Caroline now had to
I
leave.
had to, yeah. So
You
my
got
job,
transferred by
yeah,
your
yeah.
job.
I
Then you
stayed beyond
left.
that 1 year, really.
That's true.
But in that process, we actually got to know each other. We were
More,
friends
yes,
now. You
absolutely.
talk about your business, I talk about
That
challenges
is
at work,
correct.
talk about your challenges at your
That is
business.
correct.
You saw me cry, you saw me go through some struggles and everything,
That's right.
looking for a house and helping me. So we actually now became friends with no strings attached.
True.
So that was good. We discovered that we lived in the same place when you guys were
When
living
I
in
was going, we even
Lagos.
discovered we went to the
The
same
same high school,
high
right?
school.
Yeah, at
But
some
you
point.
left, yeah, you
Yeah, even
left
though I left,
after
I
a
did
year.
1 year
That's
there.
true.
So we discovered that we had so many common things. And
Yeah.
then another thing that was going well for him, like he speak my language too.
I
Anyway,
speak her language,
yeah.
yes. So I
So
understood your culture, so it was
yeah,
easy for
it was
me
easy
to
for you,
relate, much easier than for you to relate
for me to
with my own culture.
relate. Yeah, because even
So,
living in a way, I kind of felt like a stranger. You know what I mean? Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, I know. Yes, I was kind of trying to learn the language, but I
yeah,
didn't see see myself
You didn't have a
staying back,
long-term plan.
yeah, to live in that
Correct.
area. So that was kind of like a barrier for me.
Correct.
And so at this point, I was now transferred out of Owerri, like what I've been waiting for. Even though I wasn't transferred to my city in Lagos, but it's still the western part
That is correct.
of Nigeria, to a
That
city
is
called
correct.
Oshogo. So I decided to pack up my things, and before then, I had the last program I was going to do.
Yeah,
Women's, conference.
we had already planned the
Planned that.
program and then advertised that you were going to be the speaker.
Yeah.
So you left to go back to Lagos. Then you decided to come
I
back
said
for
I
the
will come
program.
back for the program. Yeah,
Yes.
I moved some of my stuff
Yes.
out of town.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that I will come back for the program.
yeah, so you now came back for the
So
program.
I came back for the program.
Yes,
We
then.
had a wonderful program,
Yeah.
and it was fine. So the last day, that
the
was
program.
just the night before I was going to leave.
Correct.
And then we got talking, just checking up on each other and how things are doing.
That is correct.
And at that point, you know,
Then I insisted let me go drop you. Let me drop you off. So
yeah.
So in the way where I was dropping you off, I now said, I really feel still feel
No,
strongly
before
about
then,
you.
you were supposed to be in a relationship. Before
Yeah.
then, you told me that your
That
relationship
wasn't working out.
wasn't working out
yeah,
for
I
you.
remember I told you
You told me it wasn't working out because if
Yeah.
you didn't, you told me it wasn't working out for you and everything. And now you were now telling me how you were still,
how my heart was still
how you were
towards
still
you.
longing for me.
Yes. And
More or less.
Yes. Then after the program, I think I was the
You
one
were
that
going
was
to drop me off. Yeah, you were going to drop me
Then
off.
I asked you if I could come pick you up in the morning. Let's go hang out somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe have lunch. I
Yeah.
remember
So
that.
at that time when he told me, you were kind of still longing for me, even though because I felt like I gave him the.
You showed the door on my face.
I showed you kind of, and I gave you the chance to go really. I felt like go try your own kind of. Someone that spoke your language and everything. To me,
that was
it was also part of in my mind. Yeah, in my mind, I'm like, I feel like you'll be more comfortable with somebody that will be willing, of course, to stay back and will be better for you than someone like me that had my own reservations and walls that are built up.
Okay.
And so, but because I had now gone to Lagos, left you guys and went to Lagos, and which is what I wanted. I got there and found out.
Wow.
I mean, all the shine was already gone from me. It wasn't as great as I thought it was.
So you were looking forward to going back to Lagos, and you got back to Lagos,
and
it was like you didn't feel like
I didn't
what
belong,
you left.
I felt like I didn't belong there anymore.
Okay.
Because I kind of planted some roots in Owerri, and I felt like I was doing great work there. So I going to Lagos, like there was no joy, so to speak. Even though I went back home, the person that went back home was different from the person that left.
That is correct.
So I think that's what it was. I think I had matured and everything. So the shine wasn't there for me anymore. So when I came back to Owerri and then you were talking and then you also told me that your relationship was not working, that kind of opened something in my heart.
Okay.
There's
you were more receptive.
Yeah, I was more receptive. Yes. And then it made me feel like now you were really choosing me for who I was, not necessarily because you wanted a wife, and I kind of checked some of your boxes. I just didn't want any. I enjoyed my own company that I wasn't going to give. It wasn't good enough for me to give up my singleness, more or less. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So for you, it was a process.
Yeah.
And that process, during that process, your heart was opened to now be more receptive to where I was coming from because you had a better understanding, as it were.
Yes, and maybe you kind of proved to me. I don't know.
I didn't know what I proved.
You didn't know, but you did. You proved something to me by going to have another relationship and still saying no. It's still you that I wanted.
Okay.
I just didn't want anybody to, because you and your friend came at the same time, and I knew you were talking about. You were both. Maybe you said you were not talking about.
I don't know.
You guys were talking so much about wanting a wife, getting a wife, and I just didn't want to check anybody's box. It wasn't good enough for me to be like, oh, she checks this box. Does she have a job? Check. Does she love Jesus? Check. I just wanted somebody to want me for me, not just because I checked some boxes. But what if tomorrow I don't have that job? What if, those other things don't check? Would you still want to be with me? That's the way.
That was your thinking, but that wasn't my thinking.
Yeah, that was just the value I placed on myself. Let me put it like that. I just put some value on myself like that. You really have to really want me for me to give up. Yeah, for me to give up. I mean, you wooed me enough for me to I just needed that proof. And so that proof to me was that it was really sincere, in just wanting just me, not
Yeah,
what
it
you
was
thought
a
I was
process, as I
ready.
said, for you. It
You
was a
know?
process, and you needed to have answered all the questions that you had, or all the precautionary things behind your mind that you needed to check before going ahead to take the next step. And I
Yeah.
thank God that the process of time helped you to work through all of that. And I would say it was God who brought you back. I would say, that the program we had before you left that brought you back again, because ordinarily I probably wouldn't have seen you anymore.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah,
wouldn't have
maybe
seen
you
me
would have moved
anymore.
on and I
I
would
would
have
have
moved
moved on,
on
yeah.
and all of that.
You
But that
never know.
program, which we had advertised earlier, was now what brought you back,
Yeah,
and it
that's why I
created
came
another
back.
opportunity
Yeah.
for us to connect. And yeah, the next day I took her out for lunch. It was at the lunch place that we now talked in more detail. And my heart is still longing for you. I still see that we can make a good couple together and all of that. And then it was there she now said yes.
Yeah,
Then
I said yes, yeah,
I
because
was
at that point,
happy.
yeah, I said yes. I know at some point, of course, you were going into the I love yourself, and I'm like, okay, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
It wasn't really a smooth proposal. You know what I mean? It's not like,
Well, it's the way
yeah.
you're the one who is saying it,
Because I
but
have to put the words in your mouth. What do you really want
okay,
from me?
okay,
Because the
okay,
first time you have told me it doesn't have to end in marriage. So now I have to ask you, what is this still about?
okay, okay. It was
And
good
then
for you to get
you
that
now,
clarification.
yeah,
Then I went ahead and I stated everything clearly. I said, "Well, I
yeah,
want you
this
to be
is
my
what the
wife. I
expectation,
want us
yeah.
to get married. I think God could do great things with our union, and all of that." So we agreed to get married. Then the process of engagement started. Should we talk about that in this program, or should
That's a
we,
long one.
or should we talk
Yeah,
about
that's a
that
long
next
one.
program?
Yeah, I know. But the good thing I just want to say from all of this, why am I sharing this story? Is I know I didn't want to come to a worry, but obedience sometimes because I know God. God just opened the door, and the one I was trying to open, God closed it. It just won't open. I won't say, oh, it's because I had a faith or something. No, God just said, no, my daughter, this is the direction I'm leading you into. And so in that obedience, I mean, He opened the way for me to meet you. Even the small
True.
church I was going to as a single person, I mean, you could look at it and say, oh, this small church. You were not even there when they
I
started
wasn't
going
there when
there.
you
Some
started,
people,
and
by just,
circumstances led me there
yeah,
because ordinarily it wouldn't have been a church I would have
yeah,
chosen. Let's say if I was coming back to that town, there were
yeah,
other bigger churches and other places and all of that. But my friend happened to be your pastor,
yeah.
and he kept insisting that I should come
You should
help
be
him
there,
out
yeah. And I stayed
and all
back in
of
that church
that.
just because of the work that was there. If
Yeah,
not, I would have wanted another church. I just
yeah,
felt like there was work here to be done and I could
yeah.
help out.
In
So,
all of this, like what I would say is, I had been praying for a wife, and I'm sure she was praying for her husband someday. The thing is, there's a place in the Bible that says the steps of the righteous are ordered by God. We cannot figure everything out from A to Z, but the good thing is that we walk with someone, with He, who knows from A to Z. In our obedience, in our loving Him, in our following Him, He leads us in His path. But Moses, David would say, He leads us in the path of righteousness for His name's sake. He leads us in the path that He has appointed for us, and until all the things on that path. There's a place that says, that His path drips abundance. On the path of following Him, there are specific milestones He has put in that path, and that will lead us to fulfilling His purposes for our lives. So when I look back, I review the whole thing. I'm like, wow, this was really
this
God
is
from the
God,
beginning
yeah.
up until even now as we speak. Later, we'll talk about how we got engaged and got married and then relocated and then started having children and all of that and all of that and all
Yeah,
of
we've
that.
seen we've seen we've seen God's hand true and true.
Absolutely.
He's the one that's brought us this far, and just to encourage you, that's our story, and it's God that really brought us together, and has helped us to keep our love alive and growing and multiplying, and yeah, it's God that is our standard. That's the one we look up to, and so we just want to encourage you to for those of you that are trusting God for a spouse, and I mean, God will bring it to you. Just focus on Him. In focusing on Him, He will bring you the spouse that you desire. Because I think that's what we did. It's not anything that I did right. Oh, you know what I mean?
For
Yeah,
sure.
I just knew, okay, I mean, I created barriers that could have not made this happen. But God still made it happen, because we're looking to just please Him. So that's the one that counts. In trying to please God, God will grant you,
The
the
desires of
desires
your
of your
heart.
heart.
True. As you
So,
delight
as you
yourself in
delight
Him,
yourself in
He
Him,
grants you the
yeah,
desires of your heart.
desires of your heart. So,
There may be some, yes, as Caroline said, you may still be single, maybe you've not found the love of your life. I want you to don't get discouraged. God has a plan for you. Just keep on following, obeying Him, following Him, and He will make it happen at His time. He makes all things beautiful in His time. And there may be some of you who actually you found your life partner, but things may not be the way you thought it was gonna be. Be patient and keep trusting the Lord. Keep on being the right person in that relationship, and God will still make all things beautiful in His time.
thank you. That's our story. And thank you for sticking with us. I know it's a long one, but we
Yeah,
just had to tell it. So I'm
yeah,
glad. I hope our viewers can learn something from this.
yeah.
And so, blessings to you. We
Do
talk
I
to you
get a kiss,
later.
baby?
No, not on camera. I'm not doing
Okay,
that.
okay, guys. We'll shut off the
Behind
camera,
the
then I'll get
scenes.
my kiss. Yeah. Okay. Have a
Thanks
good
for
one, guys.
watching.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
God bless you. Bye.